Hi everybody, and welcome to another edition of First Person, sponsored by the Precision Strip Company up in Minster, Ohio. We talk about them a lot. They're always looking for good people because it's a great place to work. Whether you're starting, changing, or finishing up your career, they're looking for good people. They might be looking for you, and you should check them out. Give them a call or check them out online, the Precision Strip Company, our sponsors for First Person here on PressProsMagazine.com. I don't need to introduce Jack Pohl to you because he's been the sports anchor here at Wdtn Channel 2 in Dayton for decades. He's a good friend. He's a fun guy to talk sports with. And Jack, thank you for doing this because guys like me and you don't get to talk sports with guys like you and me.
We don't, right? I mean, we always get the guy in the grocery store comes up and asks us 5 questions, and most of the time I don't know the answer to them.
In the frozen food aisle.
It's like, man, I'm just trying to pick a pizza here. I don't know if I can tell you who I think's going to win the MAC next.
Well, we did this about 3 or 4 years ago with Mike Hartsock,
a
mutual friend, and it was a lot of fun. And we said at the time, hey, it'd be fun to talk to more guys, in the sports media. And so, again, I appreciate taking the time to do this. First and foremost, I know you're a local guy.
I am.
Mike was from Waynesville.
Correct.
And I know he told me one time that it was really a benefit to him to grow up in the Miami Valley, to be here, to know the relationships, the priorities, the coaches, the schools, the conferences. Tell me what being from Centerville has done to help you in that regard.
Well, I agree with him because when you're covering sports in the Miami Valley, if it's part of your fabric, I mean, what you grew up with, I mean, I can tell you about my first Reds game, my first Bengals game. I can tell you the first time I put a mouthpiece in my mouth playing football for Bob Gregg at Centerville High School. When you do all these things and you get to know a city and you love a city, and then all of a sudden one day you wake up and all the teams you've loved all these years, all the teams you followed these years, even teams you played for, like Centerville, I played for, now all of a sudden I'm covering them. It's a huge advantage because you have an emotional investment and you also have a lot more credibility than someone who says, what's this Rushy, Ohio? It's Rushy.
Yes.
So it does have a big advantage when you know what's going on in the Miami Valley and you already know a lot of the coaches.
Well played, because I played at Pickle High School 50 years ago, and no one was more happy to see the Miami Valley League come back.
Yeah.
Because when I played, it was those teams in the Miami Valley League, plus Lima Shawnee, and I think Belltown was in it at that time.
And I'm so glad that through the years, I've seen it. Remember when the GWAC expanded? I don't know, it was 20-some teams. It was ridiculous, and the scheduling was really hard. It's nice to see that things have mellowed out and have also gone back to their roots, such as the case of the Miami Valley League.
Speaking of Hartsock, wouldn't you like to have his money?
I know he'd like to have it. He never spends it.
All right.
The only time he ever picks up a check is to hand it to you.
I don't exactly believe. We
love Mike. I'll tell you one thing. It was a joy once Mike and I became friends in this business because you cover all the same events. I would never understand how a competing sports department couldn't become friends because, it's not breaking news that the Bengals are playing the Raiders this Sunday. Everybody knows, or the Flyers are playing this Monday, or whatever it is. You always know. So we developed a great friendship over the years, and we kid each other a lot. But I certainly respect and love Mike.
I want to borrow something from Scott Van Pelt.
Okay.
I know you know his monologue where he comes on at night and says, the best thing I've seen today. Well, I don't care about today, but I want to give you an opportunity and maybe share some opinion about the best things we've seen this fall sports season. So you go first.
I'll go first, and I'm going to start. This may out of left field, no pun intended, but maybe the best thing I saw was Terry Francona becoming the Reds manager. That happened this fall. And to me, the Reds have just been that team where, oh, shucks, we'll hire this guy. He's been in our system, or his dad used to play here, or some bench coach somewhere. There's never really a lot of sizzle in a manager since Dusty Baker left. And bringing in Tito, I think, just gives the Reds instant credibility and takes a very young, talented lineup, and he's going to hold them accountable. I mean, this is a guy with World Series rings. He can dangle in front of them, and to me, that's the best thing I see. Because, frankly, I had just written off the Reds in the last, really 5 or 6 years. They just didn't appear, going back to that where you're going to go comment, really soured me. This, to me, was You're going to come here because you want to, because we have a winning team. We have great talent, great young talent, and now literally a championship winning manager.
I can't wait to show him my 59 Tops card of his dad.
Oh, wow. Wouldn't that be? Do you have that?
Signed.
You have that?
Signed.
Sonny, that's amazing.
59 Tops when he was with the Indians.
I didn't know
Had
you
the
were a
red
card collector.
background, the red background with the circle in it, Tito Francona.
Gosh, that is so cool. No, that is really cool. But I think that was the best thing I saw this fall. And really, you know, I'm more of a football guy when it comes to passion and great things I see and that sort of thing. But boy, that knocked me off my feet because it's been a long time coming since we've honestly had true belief that the Reds could be something special.
Being a football guy, where does Marion Local's 58 game
Way
win
up
streak?
there.
I saw that last week.
Yeah.
It put a lump in your throat.
It not only put a lump in your throat, but it's not just that they've won that many, but how they're winning that way.
Yeah.
They are shutting out and dominating the best teams in the MAC, the best teams in the area. It's not a matter of if they're going to win state, it's how much they're going to win state
Who are they
by.
gonna beat?
Yeah, and who are they going to beat? That sort of thing. It's astonishing. Tim Goodwin is just, what he has done with that program for now, really, literally decades. He's always had them competitive, but what he's done over the last 10 years is nothing short of phenomenal. And that many wins in a row, I don't care what division you are, I don't care, and they play in a tough league,
Yep.
so, you know, we can't say I don't care what division you are, because they're in a tough league. It is truly one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen.
People overlook this, but I'm going to remind them. In those 58 wins are 18 consecutive postseason wins and three state title games.
Yeah.
My heavens.
I would never want to be the team that ends that streak, and right now it doesn't look like that's anywhere on the radar. It really doesn't. So I can say that, but it's truly something special. You do wonder, though, and I'll ask you, Sonny. So do you think it's just, whatever, we win state? Or is it really, do they feel the same kind of special that I'm sure the team itself does? Does the community taking them for granted, I guess?
I was going to say, first of all, it's a community expectation.
Yeah, right.
Now he's coaching the sons of the players he had in 2000.
Yeah.
And by the way, the dads are in those kids' ear.
Yeah.
And saying, you don't want to be the class.
That look right. So there is a certain amount, even though you're dominating teams, there's a certain amount of pressure, Sonny. We got to win this game.
And then the kids themselves. It is a tremendous point of pride in that program. And again, they got 114 kids in high school and 80 of them play football.
Tells you everything you need to know. Because it's not like that. I remember Jay Neisunger told me years ago they won 3 out of 4, Valley View had won 3 out of 4 state championships, so run something like that. And he's like, well, at the time, we didn't have soccer. And he goes, once we got soccer, well, now all of a sudden my second string running back is on the soccer. And that's great. And I want more sports, and I want kids to be able, I'm not taking a knock on it, but it's that kind of depth that makes a difference in a championship run that Marion Locals
Here's
had.
what I'm going to add and see if you don't agree with me about the best thing I've seen this fall.
All right.
I have to put a plug in for area girls volleyball.
Oh, yeah.
When you consider that 5 or 6 of the top 10 teams in the state in Division 6 and 7 come from the MAC, Shelby County League, you got Coldwater, you got Fort Laramie, you got New Bremen, the defending state champion, Marion Local, St. Henry, all those teams. That's a have mercy right there, and all right within 20 miles of here.
Yeah, and I feel like that's another thing where those teams that you said, all of them at one point or another winning state titles, I feel like that's a consistent thing. Now, maybe not in a row the way Marion Local Flyers football is doing, but I think it is a great staple in the Miami Valley to have that kind of volleyball power in the state of Ohio. And they play right up the street.
And a shout out to those coaches, Diana Kramer, Nikki Etzler, Trish Rosenbeck, I can't even, I'm going to leave somebody's name out, but, you know, hey, the lights are on, you forget
But again, these are coaches, along with Tim Goodwin in football, but the coaches you just mentioned are the same way. They built a program, they built expectations, and they hold people accountable, and they expect to win. Not just to win the match that night, but they expect to win state titles. It's wonderful.
Dedicated people, committed people to the community and their kids.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Jack Pohl is our guest this week on First Person from Wdtn. Channel 2, working for us, actually.
Yeah, we are. I'm working for you tonight.
Yeah,
That's
working
it.
for us tonight. Another question, and I'll give you my opinion, but we get to see each other in the press box at Ohio State.
Yeah, all the time, yeah.
That's where the real sports talk happens.
Yeah.
But, you know, they lost to Oregon State a couple of weeks ago. They barely beat Nebraska last week. Now everybody's got their head in their hands saying, what's wrong with the Buckeyes? Your opinion on what the Buckeyes really are?
Well, I mean, I think it was a huge mistake, and I don't know who to blame. I'm not smart enough to know who to blame. But to play basically nobody and have 2 bye weeks before you play a real meaningful game, I mean, you're looking at 2 months of players, and they're not stupid. You know, they know a couple of MAC teams and Marshall coming to town on home Saturdays isn't going to give them any kind of real challenge. Even though some of those games were tight in the first half, they ended up blowouts. I think that's a big mistake. I think you are way better off, especially in today's college football climate, where you can lose a game. I mean, now, someone's going to tell me, and I get this argument all the time, because I'm asked that question a lot, and they're going to say, yeah, well, who's going to want to play Ohio State? They can find someone. They can find someone better, more challenging than who they played this year. And I don't know how that schedule worked. They may have had somebody that backed out and they couldn't replace it or what have you, but to me, it's such a waste of time. And college football has changed so drastically now. The players are getting paid. There's more playoff teams. That's only going to expand. They need an independent scheduler where I would give the colleges, okay, you want to warm up and take on Akron or Miami, Ohio, or Marshall, that's fine. You get 1 or 2 of those. We're taking your next 2 preseason games, and then you play your Big Ten. And that way you can get teams, ranked, maybe the national champion versus 16 and so forth. But some kind of where you're forced to play a better schedule, because it's not fair.
You see it from the press box.
Yes.
I see it from the end line, behind the end zone, because I'm usually down there shooting.
Right, well, actually, I'm down there shooting too most of the time.
The thing that I notice is, over the years, if college football, tackle to tackle is so important on the offensive line.
No doubt.
And if you can't dominate somebody and get in their head that we're dominating you, that makes such a difference. And that changed with the 85 scholarship limit a few years ago, when everybody's getting more good players.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing Alabama's lost 2 games already. Texas has lost. Tennessee has lost. Ohio State has lost.
Yeah.
Hard for me to see that Oregon State might not lose a game.
No.
So I think that's got a lot to do with it. And hey, everybody's much better than Iowa used to be in 1980.
Yeah.
So don't get your pants in a bunch over Ohio State losing a football game.
Yeah, I agree, and they can lose this weekend and still get in the playoffs. The thing that's going to hurt Ohio State is they could slip a little bit and not get in the Big Ten championship game. But to go on what you were saying, Sonny, about how things have changed, the scholarships and things, another big thing that has changed, at least with the elite schools, the Ohio States, the Alabamas, and so forth, is you don't get the depth anymore. You used to get a 5-star player, second-string running back or second-string tackle or whatever it is. Now they're like, heck no, I can make a lot more money. And
I can go there and play right now.
Exactly. I'm going to go where I can play and make money and be a star. And they're recruiting against that process, which is why teams like, maybe Miami, Ohio, or a MAC school would be able to develop a player a lot easier than any college football team could. So I do think you see someone gets injured, someone goes down, someone has a bad game. There's no one to plug in their place that used to be as good as they were back in the day.
Final question, how anxious and how much do you look forward to the state tournaments in volleyball and football? How much fun is that?
I love both of those.
After all these years.
Yeah, all these years. High school football state playoffs are great. And you look at the schedule this week, as you go into the opening week, and you think, these are a bunch of boys. I'm telling you, someone's going to upset somebody. If I'm taking someone's going to knock off somebody, you say, really? Remember a few years ago, undefeated Xenia got knocked off?
Yeah.
Nobody saw that coming. So we're going to see something like that by the end of Friday night. And that's always exciting. Plus, I get excited because we usually have a handful of teams that get to that state championship game.
If you really want to know about Friday night, you'll read the Friday night picks on PressPros.
PressPros, I sure will.
Get that plug in. Gotta get that plug in.
Gotta get that plug in. But Operation Football will have a special playoff edition throughout. Yeah, right there.
Right there.
Throughout. Joey DeBaradino always does a fantastic. He's going to go to that Alter Eaton game. I think that's an interesting game. That to me could be a toss-up.
Our real interesting game will be St. Henry rematch with New Bremen.
Yeah, New Bremen. I saw that.
7 points 3 weeks ago, and I think that's going to be a good game.
That should be a great
Jack,
game.
thanks for this time.
Hey, thanks for having us. Do it again.
You're only getting 15 minutes of this. We do this for an hour on Saturday.
Yeah, I was going to say, at the Buckeye games this year, it's over those powdered eggs and a couple of free shakes from McDonald's. We go all morning.
You can do it all morning. That wraps up this edition of First Person with Jack Pohl, and again, sponsored by the Precision Strip Company up in Auglaize County in Minster, Ohio. Great place to work, whether you're starting, finishing, or just changing your career. They're looking for you. They're looking for good people. For everybody out there, again, we thank you for your support of what we do every day, every week, every month on PressProsMagazine.com. We'll see you again next time with another edition of First Person.